Thomas C. Martin, are you ready?
I am.
You ain't said a thing.
You know what? I didn't know that we were on. Are we on?
130 is on, everybody. So let's get busy on this.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
The opinions expressed by Martin Heritage Group and guests on the radio show are their own and do not reflect opinions of this radio station. All statements and opinions expressed are based upon the information considered reliable. Although it should not be relied upon as such, any statements or opinions are subject to change without notice. Investments involve risk and unless otherwise stated are not guaranteed. Past performance cannot be used as an indicator to determine future results. Any strategies mentioned may not be suitable for everyone. Information expressed does not take into account your specific situation or objectives and is not intended as recommendations appropriate to you. Before acting on any information mentioned, please consult with the qualified tax or investment advisor to determine if it is suitable for your specific situation. This program is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regard to subject covered. Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Capital Management, LLC, BCM, a registered investment advisor. BCM and Martin Heritage Group are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BCM, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to claim paying ability of the insurance company and not offered by BCM. Index or fixed annuities are not designed for short
A little bit of Millie Vanilli. Well, that just interrupted right there.
It came right through.
Yeah, I was like, whoa. They did that before, right?
No, I think, you know what, that introduction is it's kind of long. You gotta speed that thing up, man.
Yeah, so
we gotta speed that up. Are we good to go now?
We're good to go. A little bit of Millie Vanilli. Girl, you know it's true. And why did you pick this one, brother?
Because you know, all the women out there know it's true.
And we were talking about that.
I love you. I love it. You know what? Actually, I used to do music, several years ago. Every time I come to this station, I learn more and more about jazz. Listening to Henry up here, but listening to this beat, the backbeat in it, it's something that I would want to sample if I was still doing music. I don't know. It still gets me. I think Millie came out early '90s.
Yes.
Early '90s. And it's still, every time I listen to this song, I still get motivated. I don't know, I lift weights to stuff like this. It's interesting. Well, good afternoon. It's MHG's Power 30. This is round number 3. Hopefully I don't get knocked out this round. I'm just kidding. I am really looking forward to share some really good information with you guys today. Please comment on the link. I know Henry is sharing this stuff through all the social media links. If there's some information you want to know, I don't know. Do we get my phone number up there? We didn't do the phone number this time.
Well, we can change that real quick.
Okay.
I'll get the phone number up there.
Okay.
Here, we'll just set it up here.
Fantastic. So if you have some questions, we're not taking live calls.
We can.
You know what? You want to do it?
Okay.
We're talking life insurance this time, so I think I'm
going to say, okay, the phones are open.
The phones are open.
And the phone number's right there behind you.
You can text me. I just got to be careful, when people are actually calling in. I'm not giving investment advice. I'm just maybe giving you some information that you can leverage in the future. Maybe if there's something that you want to review, you can obviously give me a call directly, 651-503-6064. Again, 651-503-6064. Shoot me a text. Or you can also go to the website and I can get an email to you, or you can shoot me an email and I'll get back to you promptly. Well, I am looking forward to this show, but first, before I start, I just got to acknowledge a couple of things. First, I just want to say, prayers to those folks down in Texas. I got a lot of colleagues that live down there, friends and family members. I know it's been just so hard. Some people have to stay in their cars. They weren't having water. the heat, electricity. They have families. Things in those types of situations really make you come down and say, okay, what is this thing really about? You know, and it's family, and it's protecting your family and making sure that you guys are in a safe position, because that can happen to anybody, natural disasters. So my prayers and my thoughts go out to all those folks in Texas. I've been on the horn trying to just communicate with people that I'm connected to down there to make sure that they're okay, and just to give them, you know, some inspiration, and also let them know that somebody's thinking about them. So I just wanted to acknowledge those folks right away. Okay, if you don't know, my name is Thomas C. Martin. I own a firm here in the lovely, beautiful state of Colorado. We got some snow over the last couple of days. In fact, last night I was thinking, like, how I'm going to get down here. I might be sliding everywhere. But they were able to get the roads clean. But I'm in Loveland, Colorado. I have a firm. It's a full services, financial services firm. We've actually been in business since 2019 on the financial services side. I actually started in this business. I've been in the banking business for 20 years on the securities and insurance side for the last 11 now that it's 2021. So we do everything from retirement planning to protecting your families, to actually helping people with or companies even with retirement benefits. So if that's something that you want to discuss, you have an advisor that you maybe are not too confident in, we want to earn your business. So please feel free to reach out. My mission at the firm is to provide our clients with financial solutions, helping them sustain, protect, and grow their assets while increasing wealth building and wealth management opportunities in the communities we serve. And my main goal for this show is to build influence for MHG throughout the U.S., and I think this is a global show, right? I was just telling Henry, I was like, I want to throw some shots out, because I think there's people in India listening. I think there's people in, I don't know, Norway, Sweden, Japan, I think I saw up there. I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. So I want to throw some shots out to those folks as well. But I want to bring awareness to financial vehicles that can help our communities build and manage wealth. I also got to plug a couple of the handles that you can find me on social media. Is this a long conversation? Am I doing too much? I don't know if I'm doing too much. But you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. Facebook, Martin Heritage Group. IG, you can find me at Martin Heritage Group. On Twitter, MHGRP LLC. And then also you can go to my website, martinheritagegroupllc.com. Okay, so if you've listened to the last couple of shows, I kind of have a flow. I talk a little bit about a term of the month, and then I go into the markets and do a global review of what's currently happening around the world, what's happening in the U.S., tell you what has happened since the last time I was here, and then I go into a presentation, maybe to 5 to 7 minutes, about something that I think that can really benefit your life when it comes to today. Today, the subject is cash value life insurance, which I am very much an advocate of, okay? So the term of the month is SPAC. I don't know if you are a CNBC, what's the right word I'm thinking of? I watch it all the time. I'm a binge watcher of that show. And a SPAC, this term has been really thrown around lately. It actually has some popularity, has gained popularity over the last year, since the middle of, I want to say 2020, in fact, going back to 2019. But what a SPAC is, it's a special purpose acquisition company with no commercial operations that is formed strictly to raise capital in initial public offerings for the purpose of acquiring an existing company. That's a mouthful, right? So what is the purpose of this company? This is basically this type of formation is when private investors or maybe private equity people, they get together, they form this corporation to raise money in efforts to go and buy an existing company. So they have a regular IPO, just how you might see Uber when they did the IPO, raise money, and that they're able to pay for that for the companies that they buy at a premium. So SPACs have become really popular now. If you're watching CNBC, that's what they are. They are a special purpose acquisition company whose main effort is to go and raise money to buy a company. Now, if they don't buy a company within 2 years, then the investors that actually invest in this particular vehicle, they are required to give their money back to the investors. So typically these SPACs, they're going to know, they're going to have some idea, or probably a good idea, of what companies they're looking to buy in that particular field, because they see profitability, they may see some growth in that particular market segment, so they want to raise money to buy those companies to obviously capitalize on that growth, and maybe even sell that company after, or sell that company after they acquire it. Is that a mouthful? Yes.
Actually, no, but it brings to mind, did you see, and maybe you can kind of, this is just for our own knowledge, and we're going to ask Thomas this question. There was a GameStop purchase, and a lot of people were, now that's some of the questions I was getting. I said, I don't know, I'm going to ask him live on the air. So tell us about...
Why are you going to do that to me, man?
The reason why we're asking this is because you were talking about this investments and stuff, and what they did here, and they got the money, and then they went and bought all these, and nobody really understood that one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
I'm sure you know what it's about.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's it's actually. I think they're supposed to be having. They're supposed to be on the Hill here in the next couple of days. They're going to be investigating. Well, they have an investigation, but they're going to have some of these companies like Robinhood, their CEOs, testify in regards to what happened and what they knew, because even for the average investor, they don't know exactly. They don't know exactly what happened.
How could they play the game like we were talking about? How could you play the game and then the rules have changed because we're losing too much money?
Well, what happened was these larger companies, or hedge funds rather, they went in and they betted that they basically did some call. It's basically the gamification of the market. What they did is they shorted the stock of GameStop, and that Reddit has an online community. They went in and they had their users or their subscribers go in and buy the stock, which caused the stock to increase in value, and that caused a short squeeze, which ultimately led to a lot of those hedge funds to lose billions of dollars. Now, what was really scary about a lot of these investors, maybe they may have been buying this stock on margin, meaning that they borrowed money to buy it, and that's what's really risky about some of these retail investors when they got into the market. But what happened was they drove the stock value up to, I think it was $450 at the height, and then they started dumping it. And that can be very scary if you've bought, $100,000 in stock on margin, and then the stock plummeted. So right now, I think I checked today, it was roughly at, I think, $45 or something like that. So it went from $450 to down to $45. So that's a lot of volatility. Now, my daughter, who lives in Seattle, she called me. She said, Dad, Dad, I went in, which is really exciting, by the way. She went in and she opened up a Robinhood account, and she started buying positions. And I was like, baby, just make sure you're safe. Be careful. I mean, go ahead, have some fun. You got $300 or $400. Go ahead and invest in it and see what happens. It's teaching her something, because she was having a conversation with me about the stock, and she's starting to learn a little bit about the fundamentals of it. So I think it's a great education. But when you got people out there that's investing and buying on margin, it can be really scary. You're using your rent money, maybe your 401k money. You extracted money out of there to basically go and gamble, with that stock. But that's what happened, and now it's going to be on the Hill. So some people are going to be accountable to what happened, or at least they're going to try to figure it out. And then you're going to see some more tight regulations so that something like that doesn't happen again.
These hedge funds people, they just got a little upset because they were banking on just making all this dough, and then it didn't go that way because of the Reddit people.
It took
them out. And so the game had to change. Hey, wait, we made up this game, so we're going to change the rules in the middle of the
For sure.
river here, you know?
For sure. We are dealing with the new era in regards to investments. Information is at the fingertips of the average person now. So they have some weight. You know, you have a lot of the institutional investors that go in and they go buy these large positions, or they short these positions hoping that that company fails. And it was almost kind of like a
Corporate rating or something.
well, no. I mean, you think about it. It was the retail investor, almost, you know, creating a situation to where they're rebelling against the system.
That's right.
You know, so that's kind of how I would articulate that.
That's a good way to put it, though, Thomas. And there you have it. See, you know, a couple of people did ask that question, and so there, if you're listening or you want to go back and watch this program, we got Thomas to answer it in a nice, you know, formidable way where you can understand it. Because a lot of people didn't understand it.
For sure. So basically, you know, just to make it really simple, a company can go in and bet that a hedge fund rather can go in and bet that a company is going to fail, and basically the stock will drop. Okay, and if they're naked, just to make it really simple, meaning that they don't have any protection for that stock going. If the stock were to go up, then that company will be responsible for buying back those shares at a higher rate. So if the higher rate is, you know,
$400,
you know, and you bought 1 million shares or 2 million, you know, betting that those shares go down, then you can see how that number can be exponential.
And that's how they lost.
And that's how these hedge funds, and some of them had to lock in their losses and get out of the game, because you don't know how high those stocks. I mean, it's unlimited. The potential that stock value could have went up. It was unlimited, so they locked in their losses and got out some of those funds. So.
And what you're talking about here is completely different, but
totally different.
I had to lock that in right there, so you know, investments, investors, and all the different individuals who play this stock market know what you know what's going on. So this one's completely different.
Yeah, I think it's empowering for you. Got more people that are learning, you know, more about. I mean, the average person is learning how to invest. And it's okay to ask your advisor those questions. I think you should ask your advisors.
And that's what makes you a great advisor, Thomas.
Yeah.
And that's why he's here, for advice for you.
Hey,
You stop me, call no, just call him.
Yeah, give me a call.
And that's all we got to do.
We can talk
and
about
I'm out. He talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
But not over here broadcasting what we were saying out there.
For sure. Well, what I'm here to talk about today, the actual subject at hand, is what is cash value life insurance? A lot of people hear a lot of different terms thrown out there about life insurance. Is it good? Is it bad? I mean, obviously, we're living in a society right now where there's close to, you know, I guess is it half a million people that have died from coronavirus this year?
And they all have to get life insurance.
Oh, you know,
or have it already.
Well, some of them, you know, I've been dealing with a lot of people in the last several months that have tried to get policies, and the companies have become very stringent on, you know, granting life insurance to people. I mean, because obviously they want to make sure that they're protected, because, you know, you got 500,000 people that are passed away that are potentially can draw on some of these companies. So they're very, very stringent. But just to make it very simple, when you think of cash value life insurance, there are so many benefits to it. On the contrary, when you think of the opposite of cash value, you think of term. And I like, whenever I talk to people about the two different types, because I think it's important for me to talk about the opposite side too first, just so that you have an understanding. When you think of term insurance, term is, I would compare it to maybe renting a policy, which is okay, depending if you have a large family, maybe you have some debt out there that you want to cover. Term only lasts for a period of time. Just like
about 10 years.
No, you can actually get a term policy up to 30 years.
Oh, 30 years.
Yeah, there's policies that, at least that I sell, that are out for about 30 years. If you're relatively healthy, you can lock into something like that. Your premiums will never change. It'll always stay the same until that policy is over. Basically, like when you rent an apartment, You have a 12-month lease or a 6-month lease. When that lease is over, you have the option to renew that lease. That same thing with a term policy. You can renew the policy or try to get another one, or you can stay in that policy, but it goes into what they call an annual renewable term, which can increase your prices substantially. But basically, it's going to be fixed. You can't pull any money out of it typically. It's just going to be what it is. Cash value is the opposite. It's a permanent type of policy. And what does that mean? When you think of permanent, you think about forever, right? Or at least until you die. With a permanent policy, they typically last until age 120. If you live that long, then they're probably just going to give you the money. Okay? At that point. But when you think about cash value, I want you to think about equity or savings account. It's like you're owning the policy, and the money that you actually put into the policy, it increases over time. I know there's some schools of thought out there about, okay, maybe I should have a cash value policy, maybe I should have a term policy and invest the rest. The thing about that is a lot of times people don't invest that money, or they spend that money, they extract that money, so they don't have, when it's time comes, life insurance when they need to buy life insurance. So I'm an advocate of having a permanent policy to some capacity, especially if you're late in life, because a lot of times you will probably develop some medical condition and you may not be able to get coverage. But if you have this permanent policy, it typically can last you until you die. If you live 120 years of age, which possibly can happen in the next 30 to 40 years due to technology in the medical world, then this is something that you may want to really consider. Now, there's 3 different types. There's whole life, which everybody is very much familiar with. I would hope so. I mean, they did a really good promotional campaign back in the 80s and in the 70s about whole life insurance. And then you had a couple of policies that came after that, which were under the umbrella of universal life policy. Universal life, rather. Whole life is going to be really rigid. It does build cash value. It pays you a certain interest rate or maybe even dividends predicated on the performance of the company. They'll pay a dividend into the actual cash value. So if you do have a whole life policy, it's always important just to kind of review that every couple of years to see where you're headed, to see what your dividend payments are, to see what your cash value is on that policy as well. Okay? Now, universal life policies, they come in a couple of different forms. You can get a few, actually. You can get a regular universal life policy. Typically, that's going to pay you a certain interest rate, maybe 3 to 4%. Check with your insurance carrier to see what your policy rate is. That can change every single year. So check with your insurance company. These are flexible policies, universal life policies, and what I mean by that is that sometimes if you can't come up with the premium and it has cash value in it, you can access it. Or maybe if you lose your job, for instance, in this pandemic, if you had a universal life policy and you have cash value in it, the policy can essentially pay itself. You may want to run a reprojection on it to see what the life of that policy, how it can be affected if you take money out or if you don't make payments. And
Thomas, can I ask you this question before
Go
you
ahead.
move on? What do they mean by double indemnity?
So
that doesn't that hook up with life insurance too?
So double indemnity, what do you mean?
Sometimes they say they'll pay you double the amount if you die for some reason, and they pay you double the amount. Have you heard of that?
No, I'm not familiar with double indemnity. Okay, so that's something that you just asked me a great question. So
So some of those questions, like I just asked, you can ask those questions to Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
What's the number again they can get?
651-503-6064. If I'm thinking, are you asking roughly a second to die? Does that sound familiar to you? Or?
Yeah, that's similar. Double indemnity is if you sign up the policy and you sign up for double indemnity, it costs a little bit more. If you die within a certain time, you get paid double.
Okay, I'm not familiar. He just stumped me on this one. I'm not familiar with that type
Yeah,
of
it's called
policy.
double indemnity. I bought me 4. No.
Did you really? Okay.
No, I didn't. But that does exist. It
Okay.
did exist. It may not exist anymore. But
Yeah.
They used to have that out there. So
Okay.
it does cost a little bit more, is what I hear. But there's certain perimeters that go Of course, but
For sure, for sure. I'm not familiar with, I have not sold a double indemnity policy. I'm familiar with second to die policies.
what is the second to die policy?
A
Thomas?
second to die policy is when the policy would pay out if you have a spouse, then that policy, if you die first, then that wife or husband, whoever's left behind, will get the large
amount.
it would pay to that estate or to whoever the beneficiaries are when that second person dies. And that was typically, those were really popular because of the estate taxes
Right.
when they were pretty massive. But that changed now. I think
Because of the
it's-
state tax.
Yeah. So you have a higher exclusion in regards, I think it's like $10 million now to actually have that estate problem, if you will. Okay. So getting back to the index universal life policy, that's something I actually wrote on the board here. Index universal life policies. In fact, let me turn it around here a little bit. I got a little whiteboard here. What's really good about life insurance is that if you were to buy a life policy, and let's just say you bought a $250,000 policy, and at year one or year zero, you get that policy and you die day one, okay? Then that company is on the hook for that $250,000. But how does the actual cash value play out? In time, it's tied to an index, and I don't know if you remember last time I was here, we talked about indexes. It's actually a portfolio of stocks or stocks that are tied to the market. So as the market performs, your index universal life policy is associated with that index. And what's really beautiful about it is that if the market actually goes down, your policy stays flat. So a lot of people, they don't lose in these policies outside of the fees that are internal. And most people say, that these fees might be pretty expensive. But as you notice, this is the cost of the policy. As the policy increases in value, your costs actually decreases because the cash value increases. And as the market performs, you lock in where you're at. So if the market starts to crash, your policy stays flat. If it goes back up, then you start to reap the benefits of that. Then if it stays flat, then it goes, and if the market goes down, then it stays flat, and then obviously up to the death benefit. Now, a lot of times what happens is, this is called the tax-free green line. What happens is, in time, people can actually leverage this green line money, meaning that at some point in the future, if they decide that they need some extra cash, because all this is cash right here, they can actually pull from it. And if you actually fund the policy aggressively enough, this number can be massive to where it can actually supplement your retirement. It can actually be used for long-term care. What's really good about this, if you're generating, if you are a person that is a high-income earner, you can throw the money in this policy and it grows tax deferred. Okay, so think about this as time, and think about this as the cash value, and this is your death benefit. If it does get to this point, depending on the type of policy you have, this death benefit can increase in time as well. So really good candidates for a policy like this. This is going to be for somebody who's a high income earner, or maybe they're late in life and they may have a large 401k or something like that, or an IRA. They're looking at ways to reduce their tax implications once they pass away, or maybe they want to have a large legacy that they want to leave behind for their family, or an endowment. They can open up an index universal life policy and fund it that way. Okay?
Now, one thing about this, you've made this mention about people who are dying of COVID, who are high income earners. Does the insurance companies have any stipulations about the COVID thing?
Yes. So
I knew.
So
I had to ask that question because Thomas can answer that question.
Obviously that's a massive question. When people are having COVID, they really can't track it.
Yes,
it's not a database or anything like that right now. I don't know how long that's going to last. So they're basically saying, it's predicated on the word of the actual person that's getting life insurance. But if you have COVID, they're not going to obviously insure you. If you state that you have COVID, they can decline you at that point, or maybe tell you.
What if you say you don't have COVID? They can't really.
They can't. They really can't verify it, because it's not a database. So if you have COVID, there's first of all, a lot of times you might have to have a physical. So there's nobody gonna come out and do the physical if you have COVID, right? And then if you had it and had complications, then that information. If you have complications, and that information is shared on something called the Medical Information Board, where they can actually find that type of information out. So then they can deny the policy based on you not telling the truth.
Give us his phone number again. So say it slowly. So if those who are listening, jot this telephone number down for Thomas, and he can help you get your life insurance types, whatever you think you may fit.
Right.
And he'll write it up for you and get it going for you.
For sure.
Sit down and talk with you about it.
Absolutely. 651-503-6064. That's my number. Give me a call. Shoot me a text. I know we're out of time. I can't believe I haven't even got to everything I wanted to
go ahead.
Am I okay?
You're okay.
Am I okay? Okay. Yeah. So
this information is very critical in this time period. And Thomas brought some good subject lines for you with life insurance and how the COVID kind of goes hand in hand. How other life-threatening illnesses can hurt you, and having life insurance, and if you aren't sick or whatever, you could still purchase it, correct? I mean, just buy life insurance and be safe.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I want to just mention really quick, a lot of times, well, in fact, when I first got in the industry, I worked for a massive firm in Minneapolis, and I was responsible for reviewing a lot of the policies that were on the books. So if you're in your 60s or late 50s, 60s, 70s, and your policy may be in jeopardy, meaning that the cash value, that's why some people have some reservations about buying the universal life policy, because their cash value plummeted and that policy is in jeopardy of losing or lapsing. That's important too. You can do things with the money that's in it, maybe do a reprojection to see how long that policy is going to last, or maybe move that money to a new policy that will have guarantees on it so that you don't never have to worry about that policy lapsing. I did that for some time. I was dealing with people that were in their 60s and 70s, and they were very upset that they got sold a policy 30 to 40 years ago that was going to lapse when they most needed it. So that's important. If you have those policies, I'll be more than happy to review them. You can give me a call. You can shoot them over to me. I can take a look at them. We can call the companies, run reprojections to see what the lifespan of that policy is. Okay. Couple things really quick. I think I'm gonna move away. Couple things I do want to mention though about women. I gotta say it, because we were talking about that second to die. The second to die policies. A lot of times, a lot of men, we don't live as long as women. In fact, on average, women live about 5.2 years longer. 7 out of 10 women, they actually will be widows. So a lot of women, make sure that your husbands have life insurance so that you can get paid. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But at the end of the day, you're probably going to be in a position where you're managing a lot of the financial affairs when your husband passes on. Because as men, we live more aggressively. We do a lot of things that put us at risk, and you guys just don't have a hard lifestyle how we have. So that's one of the reasons that's going to impact that statistic. Real quick, I just want to go over, last time that I was here, we talked about the markets. I want to do a global review really quick. The Dow's up. Last time I checked, yesterday, I think the market was down this morning here. I haven't looked. I can take a quick look really quick. But since I was last here, the Dow is up about 1%. The S&P is up about 1%. And the NASDAQ is up about 1%. It looks like the Dow made a comeback a little bit today. The S&P is still down. Oh, actually, no, it's down a little bit today. But I remember Henry asking me, he said, that 1%, that's massive. Yeah, think about this. If you aggregate that 1%, 12 months, what is that? 12%, right? So if you think about your portfolio, every month, if it's increasing 1%, at the end of the year, how much have you increased? 12%. Just to kind of put that number in perspective. That's massive. To put that number into perspective. If you're doing 12% in your portfolio, you're definitely hitting home runs.
Your portfolio is nice. packed in there. Know how to pack that portfolio. Call Thomas C. Martin.
Yes, for sure.
That's the whole nature of this show,
Mhm.
to get a hold of Thomas to help you with your life insurance needs, with any of your investment needs, and Thomas will sit down with you and go over everything with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so I know I'm running out of time here. I want to plug the next show. The next show is on 3/18/2021. So March the 18th, and we're going to be talking about the different market sectors. When you're looking at your portfolio, how is your portfolio balanced, and where is it concentrated at? Also, I want you guys to keep a lookout. There's going to be a third edition of Understanding Your Finances. That's going to come out probably in April.
And that's big. You know, I always thought they should show you finances in the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't teach you how to buy houses, how to invest, how to buy a car, how interest rate works, and how to know your finances.
Absolutely.
And this is basic to intermediate type of knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, whether, if refinancing is going to be good for you, whether you should buy or lease a car. I mean, just things like that. How to manage credit. I wrote this financial book here. This is the second edition. There will be a third edition coming out late April. And then Martin Heritage Group Financial University. I'm launching a university. I'm plugging it right now. That's going to be coming probably early summer. Working really hard trying to get that out. Okay. I really appreciate everybody's time. I think I ran over your time a little bit.
Oh, just a few minutes, because
okay.
I was interjecting with some questions and stuff like that. I remember there was a few things I read there, and you even asked me if there's been some interaction. I said yes, but I couldn't read it all, memorize it as fast. Usually I jot it down, but I just try to read it as fast as I can. Stay up late night, early morning, trying to get some of the answers for some of the shows.
For sure.
There's a lot of people asking questions for every show. Sometimes I just forward it to you.
For sure.
And that's what I think I'll start doing to you. Just forward you all the questions via the.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I think that's I think that's a great platform. Obviously, there's some information that I know. If there's something I don't know, nobody knows everything. if somebody tells you that they do, then you need to be concerned about who they are, because I can admit I don't know everything. This industry is constantly changing, so you're learning every single day. But I do want to leave you with some inspiration. As I stated, the format of this show, the last thing I want to leave you with is to be inspired. And this quote comes from Muhammad Ali: "What you are thinking, you are becoming." So whatever you're thinking about right now, this moment in time, is impacting your future. So I just want to leave that with you. Change your thoughts and change your life. And I think I'm okay with that. You want to drop Roby Roberson, Remembrance? Yeah, some jazz right there. This guy is putting me up on so much jazz.
This is a great show. I mean, we're going to go ahead and stay locked in, but we're going to act like we're not live. But even though we're live, and this is a technique that a lot of the other shows I've seen. Not too many people do this.
Okay.
They start talking after the show, but live.
For sure.
In an interpersonal method to talk about your show. Great show, Thomas. It really came out nice. What do you think?
I think it's great. You kind of stumped me on the double indemnity, but I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna look that up. And the next time I come back, I'll.
It's going to be nice, because there's lots of things that Thomas can do for a lot of people, and we know it. That's why this show is thriving. It's barely the third show, so
For sure.
You're doing a great job, I think. Look at the stuff that you put up there. With that visual, I personally, and I'm an older dude, was able to understand it a lot better than as your dialogue.
For sure.
And you talked about it there. So
For sure.
That was a great visual.
Yeah, I think it's important to some people are auditory, some people they have to see it, some people have to feel it and touch it to know that it's real. But this is a good way to kind of illustrate how these policies work, and very up front. You're going to have a lot of costs, but as you go in the future in the policy, the cost is going to decrease in your cash value. So
And a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
They do not know that.
Yeah.
They just think they buy the policy and when I die, I get paid off.
Yeah.
And in some policies, what happened to the policy? Well,
For sure.
you gotta have, should have read it, they tell you.
For sure. Cool.
Great job, Thomas.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes,
so
sir.
what, March 18th?
March
Coming
18th.
back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So it's gonna be good.
March 18th. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
So I guess we'll conclude now.
Yeah.
Well, they don't. I mean, they know we're live still, but we like to do an interpersonal thing here.
Is that? Oh, so we are still live.
We're still live,
Oh,
but
I didn't know we were still live.
and it's really nice to do it like this. You know, not too many people do this.
Oh,
There's
okay.
some. I'll notice in about a week or so, all the big stations will be doing the same kind of effect.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they'll get off. Oh, we're not live no more, but we are.
Yeah.
So you can see how we really interact after the
Absolutely.
show.
Absolutely.
So-
I think I'm an all right guy. Am I all right, Henry?
Oh, yeah. You're on point.
Okay.
I see all your
Yeah,
you know, everything that you're bringing.
for sure.
The visuals you're bringing, your whole show is all laid out.
For sure.
You're detail oriented.
Yeah, very much so.
That's big.
Yeah,
So if you want to get hold of Thomas, you know, you can call him.
for sure. Everybody stay safe.